Hello and welcome back to the Bird's Eye View podcast. I'm your host, Zach Worden, joined as always by Jori Negin-Shecter, and we are super excited to have a special guest on today, Ian Churchill, reliever in the Toronto Blue Jays system. Ian, thanks so much for taking the time to do this today, man.
Yeah, guys, glad I could come on and be a part of this, so excited to get it going.
Yes, sir. Live from Dunedin, Florida at Blue Jays camp. How have things been going so far down there in Florida?
Things have been great. Been here for about a month and a half now. Kind of came down a little bit early just to kind of get settled in and stuff, but stuff's going pretty great. It's been cool to kind of obviously see all the guys again and stuff like that and kind of see everything go down, but stuff's going pretty well. Can't complain.
Awesome. What has kind of been the vibe like at camp so far?
Pretty relaxed actually. It's been pretty nice of just kind of like sounds like they have everyone's kind of got their plan and stuff and what they're working on, and I've got mine, and there's a lot of really great coaches and stuff there too that are very, very personable and stuff. So every day you show up, it's kind of like coming in and a lot of hellos and how's it going and stuff like that. I mean, it's kind of one of the best parts of spring training is you kind of get to see everybody organization wide. You're kind of rubbing shoulders with, guys, that might be in a level or two lower than you or even way up. Especially the cool thing about like Blue Jays camp is like our facilities are absolutely awesome. I'd argue like second to no one, like very good. And, it's pretty cool to be able to see all the big league guys and stuff go around, do their work. So yeah, it's been great though. It's definitely, everything's been great so far.
This year, the Eden complex has been everything it's been, call it, made out to be. We hear a lot that it's a really nice complex, so good to hear that. But what has the prep kind of been like for you? What's that kind of process been like, stretching out over the last couple of weeks type of thing?
Pretty much just getting ready to, just kind of like go as a reliever, you're kind of getting in there a little bit more. So it kind of has transitioned from, maybe like bullpen to like live BP to, kind of like a couple more like getting on the slope, a little bit more often, stuff like that. Um, and just kind of getting ready to go out there every day. I've had the great opportunity to kind of like back up some big league games and stuff like that and kind of see what that's like. And, it's kind of like been nice to kind of like see like a little bit of like baseball action, like real baseball action that I'm used to kind of early in camp compared to just, live at bats where there's like, a couple guys in the stands and you're just out there by yourself. So it's been cool. It's been cool just to kind of get ready to go and do that.
For sure. You've mentioned actually a few times here that you've had the chance to kind of rub shoulders and just, again, getting back and getting everyone together. Has it been great reconnecting with anyone in particular? Have you gotten the chance to kind of absorb from anybody, maybe a little more kind of a veteran status?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, yeah, and it's pretty funny how in your second year you feel like you kind of you have just kind of a lay of the land, like you just kind of you're not really getting surprised that much. So it's been cool to, I think, meet, like the new guys coming in, the new draft class and stuff like that. But always great to kind of see old buddies that, maybe, like I said, we're at like a different, uh, affiliate or something like that. But it's been great to kind of be around those guys. I mean, I've had plenty of time off the field to go and see those guys and just talk, hang out, and go get a couple bites to eat. I feel like I've been doing a really good job of kind of going around of just, hey, you and you and you and kind of like that. So it's been awesome. Definitely one of my favorite parts of spring training, like I said, is just like you just get to see everybody, and you kind of get to hang out. Same with coaches. I mean, all those guys are the Blue Jays just do an awesome job of just, I think, finding like the most like just like awesome guys that just to help and stuff like that. But they're just awesome people that, like, every day you see them, it's like you're seeing like one of your buddies. It's just like you're just excited to go talk to him, kind of, shoot the breeze a little bit, and then kind of get on with your work for whatever you're trying to accomplish that day.
The Blue Jays have signed or brought in a bunch of new coaches this offseason, especially on the pitching side, kind of some driveline tread types. What has that kind of been like, bringing in some new faces and getting them kind of into camp so far?
It's been cool. I've had the chance to meet some of them and stuff, and forgive me, I'm not great with names,
No,
but I know who I've definitely gotten to meet those guys, and it's great. I think perspective is always kind of a really cool thing. Growing up, I've been kind of had like I would say traditional sense of like pitching and stuff of like that, where, kind of cues and stuff like that are a little bit more like, basic. And so it is kind of cool though to talk to someone who's like, might have a degree in, uh, kinesiology or something, or just like biomechanics, and they can kind of break down that. But all those guys are really good at being able to put it in terms that you can understand. And I think the Blue Jays, again, yeah, do a really good job of like hiring the right people when it kind of comes to that. So, and it's kind of nice to have, one guy say, you need to do this, hey, let's like work on doing this, and no, no, no. And then you have the kind of the old school guy who's like saying, hey, put your game face on, you know, throw it as hard as you can, or something like that, or just like attack, and really simplifies it and stuff like that. So it's been a very good balance so far, and I think a lot of guys, including myself, have already seen benefits from it, and kudos to them for kind of being able to see that that's kind of the way baseball is going. I mean, if you look just and see tread and stuff like that. I mean, I've had plenty of buddies who have gone out there and stuff like that and have seen, a ton of stuff. I mean, I think if you go on YouTube or anything like that, you're just seeing, guys go in there and they're going from, you know, not having a job to like, whoa, this guy's you could probably drop this guy in double A right now and he'd, be able to hold his own, or like, man, this guy's got some good stuff. Um, and it's been cool to really like see that, and so I think they know what they're doing, um, and I think that's gonna just kind of keep being the thing kind of going forward, as I think that's just gonna keep getting implemented more and more into professional baseball. And I think it's cool too that that can be a ladder for the coaches at tread and stuff like that, that do want to be able to go out and get kind of on the baseball pro like development side, like the whole part of the game, instead of like, just what's going on the mound. As you guys know, there's a lot of little nuances and stuff like that, and so those guys are talking to some of those guys. I think they're learning just as much, as we are learning from them.
Well, Ian, I kind of want to ask, as just a follow up, what have you gotten from kind of the technologies? Because you've mentioned that there's been opportunities for you as well to jump in it, but I would be curious about how that's been integrated.
Yeah, so like I said, I came from kind of a more traditional background of baseball. And I say traditional as maybe like, I guess it would be like old school. But I like coming into professional baseball, I had no idea how, analytically, like what, that like my pitches or something would give off these numbers. I think I understood spin rate. That was kind of like the big hot thing at the time when I was like in junior college, was like, oh, the reason his fastball does this is because like his spin rate and stuff. And then like, now it's like, oh, now there's all these other numbers attached to it, and it's so funny. And it's just like, I think too, I was talking about it with like uh one of the coaches or assistants, and they're like, man, you used to like look at a pitcher and you would just say like, man, he's got like an invisible, or like, man, that he's got like some ride to it. And now it's like everyone's like talking, like we'll put a number, will be like, oh, that's like 20, the vertical break and stuff like that. So but it does make it a lot easier to kind of quantify and kind of put kind of an attainable goal to like what you want your stuff to do. That's kind of what I've learned about just since I've been here. I can kind of like, I try my best to kind of like look at something like a number or something like that and be like, yeah, like this is good, right? Like this checks out. And then they'll be like, "Ugh," like, no, actually it doesn't. And I'm just like, okay, well, like this doesn't look that good. And they're like, well, actually, this is really good because of like this. So it's learning about that. I think I'm going to keep learning, obviously, as I keep going through the system and kind of as it becomes again implemented. It's becoming implemented everywhere. I mean, now it's in every. I think there's a rap soda or something in every college, and you know, there's like an analytical guy that understands it. I would say I'm still new to it. I'm not completely into it. I think a lot of the stuff too with the way I pitch is a little bit less quantifiable on like a computer, or like an analytical side. Um, but definitely getting a better understanding of it. And like I said, those guys are there. They understand it backwards and forward, and they're very good at putting it into a language that I can understand, which is great. But to kind of answer your question, like, yeah, I'm learning a lot. There's a lot to kind of take in and stuff like that, but it is just still a little bit over my head, but I'm figuring it out.
With I mean, you mentioned, you say that like the way that you pitch is maybe not quantifiable, but I think one way to quantify the way you pitch is kind of the numbers that you put up in the box score, and just the success that you've had so far in your pro baseball career. I'm kind of curious, what has that been like for you to kind of come in and succeed from day one as a pro in the system?
Um, so I think that just kind of goes to like how I even got into pro ball of like, uh, I was, fifth year college guy, was even, blessed enough to even get drafted, uh, especially on like day two. I mean, um, obviously it was like I was a money saver pick, like it's all public knowledge, like it's out there and stuff like that. But um, I just knew I needed like a chance and just kind of like, kind of had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder and went in there. But um, I think it's just like I just kind of went out there and I've just kind of tried to do the things that I've done, that I've gotten, that had gave me the success to get there. And I've tried to do my best to stay with that and not get away from that. The success has been great and stuff, and like you said, the numbers on the box score are great and stuff. But I will say there's still plenty of times where the numbers on the box score say one thing, but if you're in the stands watching the game, there was some struggle and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Just like everyone else. I would say I've definitely had some luck, some fortunate stuff happen and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's part of it. Just to like go out there. I'm literally just trying to do my job and just trying to, you know, help the team win, or at least put us in a position to win as a reliever, you know.
Obviously last year as well, you go from Dunedin to Vancouver, and you show up in Vancouver, and you help that team win the Northwest League Championship. You get to pitch in the playoffs, you go multi innings kind of there, and you even pick up the win in game three. What was that like for you to come into that team and play an integral role in them eventually winning a championship?
The best thing about that team, the best thing, not just the talent, that team was incredibly talented, but like from staff, from manager to nutritionist, you know, every staff member on that team was like awesome about the team, about winning, about doing it for Vancouver, and just being able to celebrate how cool that place was. And that really trickled down to the players as like we wanted to go out there and win. I think sometimes pro ball gets kind of a bad rap as, like guys are kind of out there for themselves, and like yes, that is it, but like we wanted to win. It was pretty funny. We were like it felt like being on like kind of like the term that was thrown around was a ragtag summer ball team. And that was like the best part of it was I had so much fun there. being around those guys, being around those coaches, they made the whole entire thing so much fun. It was easy to go out and compete and, want to win and stuff like that and put my best forward because I wanted to win for those guys, as did every other player. Every player wanted to go out there and not only win for themselves, but they wanted to win for, you know, Vancouver and stuff like that. They wanted to go to the playoffs. And it was from day one of being there, it was pretty much like, hey, like we're gonna go and win this. Come along, get on the train. Like we're going there. That was the really cool part. That was probably one of the coolest teams I've ever gotten to be around. And I think it kind of shows, like we made it through, and we had, even like when guys are getting called up, all of like a lot of our really good guys were getting called up, like we were still in there. And whoever came to kind of fill in that spot, it was same thing, like, hey, we're on this train, we're going. And I think that the cool part of that too is that I think that's going to be kind of reflected in the Blue Jays kind of affiliates, kind of going forward, is that kind of recipe. And I think that was just kind of a really cool thing to see. You know, the Lavallee, our manager and stuff, like he's just the man. He put it in such a simple way and stuff. And he was a college coach and stuff. So everything that he said and stuff really spoke to me and spoke to all the players and stuff like that. And there's got to be one of those. I think every team should have someone like him. And yeah. So like I said, being on that team, it was easy to go out there and compete and do well. Had the best guys behind me, and stuff like that. So that was it. But it was great to be able to go to the playoffs and stuff like that and be a part of that. But I was just doing my job, just going out there and doing that. Felt good.
The vibes sound like they must have been incredible. But like for you, what was like the learning experience as well for you being on a championship team?
I think it was mostly just like kind of interacting as like a team. Like we were all really close. Like everyone was really pulling for one another. I think that was kind of the first time in the pro ball sense that I'd really seen that, of just like the guy who's on the bench that hasn't played in 2 weeks or something like that is pulling just as hard for his buddy that's in his spot for him to do well and stuff like that. To me, that's very powerful, and like I think that rubbed off on me. And man, it was just like cool to have that, because if you go look at the numbers too with that like pitching staff, I mean, our manager could pick just a name out of a hat and send them out there, and they would go do their job. Obviously, you have your guys and stuff like that, and you have your prospects that you're going to get in play, but any guy that was going to come in behind them or something like that was going to do just as well. And I think part of that was how comfortable they were, kind of being on that team. So I think, like I said, it's a pretty special thing. I don't think a lot of players get a chance to actually be a part of that when they do play, but I've felt extremely fortunate to be able to be part of that team and to be able to take it all the way to the end there.
With I mean, you kind of mentioned where, I guess like pro ball does kind of get that rap where, everybody's kind of playing to move on and advance and everything like that. But how do you think that being on a winning team in the minor leagues is beneficial for your development, for any potential prospects development as they kind of move up?
I think it just kind of is like the spirit of like baseball. I've been the best player on bad teams, and I've been the worst player on really good teams. And, vice versa for both of those, and winning is fun. Winning's the best. Everything is about winning. I think it's also kind of silly for you to, tell your best prospect, or whatever, and have them go, be with teams that are losing all the time, and to tell them to only care about themselves and their development, and then to go up to the big leagues where it is all about winning. It is all about being selfless and winning, and just expecting them to just like understand that. Personally for me, it's just kind of it's kind of where I feel baseball is going, is it's becoming a lot more of like an individual approach to, what what do I need? What like it's about me. It's about me getting better. It's about my my personal accolades. Um, I think there really is something in being selfless and you know like they say, playing for the name on the front, not the back. And there was something about that, again on that team where that was easy. We were the freaking Canadians, man. It was sick. Like playing for Vancouver. How is that not like like that's awesome. Um, so again, like I said, it's just like it's just being able to kind of give that up and kind of like playing for the guy next to you and stuff like that instead of yourselves. I also think that takes a lot of pressure off yourself and makes it easier to succeed. Um, I just don't think that's being taught, and but I don't blame them because they are trying to get that guy up to the big leagues to go get him to help, and like that is the quickest way for them to do that. There's not like time is not on your side. Is kind of like what you're told as like a baseball player. So it's it is a bit of a risk to kind of give a kind of like not focus on just yourself. Um, some guys don't feel like they're going to be getting on, and that's fine. If that's how you play and that's how you have success, that's great. Personally, that's not how I do it. You know, I like winning. I like being a part of it. I think winning's fun. Vibes in a clubhouse are definitely a lot better after a win than a loss. I think that's pretty undeniable. So I just think, win more, lose less. Simple as that. Everyone's
I
gonna have a
listen.
fun time.
So listen, it's a good attitude to have. I think you got an incredible attitude with this type of stuff. And I know we just talked about the team and the importance of a team, but I would be curious on your front about your personal goals for this upcoming year.
Yeah, I think my personal goals for this year are obviously, going up to that next level, double A, going to New Hampshire. I think for me, it's just trying to go out, have the same success I've been having. And, you kind of get told, it's that new kind of that jump, and stuff like that. And I guess to just kind of get prepared for that. For me, it's more just uh, staying healthy, stuff like that. I think just getting used to throwing more as, kind of that every other day sort of aspect and get ready for that. And right now in spring training, it's just trying to find a way to dial down like a routine kind of every day that, works for me, makes me feel good. And then, kind of work on the off the field stuff of, hey, how am I getting away from, baseball? How am I kind of mentally resetting if, I have a day that doesn't go that great? Am I sulking in my hotel room or am I out, getting dinner with my buddies or something like that? I think that's been kind of more of the focus uh with spring training and stuff like that. It's just kind of getting back into that, thing. And then yeah, as far as goals this year, I mean, just try and keep doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to set any set any, think as far as goals is obviously like do well, but I'm not going to set any like standards that I feel like I need to keep. I feel like just as a baseball player, like, go in, do your job the best you can and, try and every time I go out there, try and put the team either in a chance to win or, you know, keep it close and stuff like that. It's pretty easy on paper. And yeah, I feel like if I do that, everything will just kind of take care of itself. I don't think there's really anything else to kind of worry about.
Yeah, that's great. Do you know you're going to start the year in Double A?
I'm not sure as of yet, but he's hoping.
I guess kind of with that, I mean, for people who haven't seen you pitch or are kind of aren't familiar with you, how would you, I mean, what would you kind of describe yourself as a pitcher? Like, what do you throw? What's kind of your mentality when you're out there?
um, I guess for me is like I'm probably funky lefty. I guess is probably the best way to put it. Kind of I throw weird. As much as I've like not thought that kind of growing up, it's just kind of the more it's told to me, it's just like I throw weird. It's part of it. Cross body, kind of like on the left side of the rubber. Everything's kind of coming out of the first base dugout, and then fastball, sliders, and then change ups and just kind of throw fastballs, just kind of throw top of the zone, kind of like to throw. I like to throw my fastball a lot. I do like it. And then, same with slider, just to, in on righties and then away to lefties and changeups in most counts. So pretty standard, I would say, like pretty standard, like stuff for, kind of a lefty reliever coming out of the pen. I think just a lot of the stuff is just deception and stuff like that. And the more I'm able to talk to guys and stuff and ask them kind of like, hey, what are you seeing? And a lot of them say not a whole lot. So it's just kind of just doing that and then trying to build on those strengths going forward. But yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, is there kind of any lefty reliever that you kind of compare yourself to, or that you watch a lot as somebody that you try to emulate at all?
It was hard. Growing up, I was like, so growing up, obviously I was a starter and I was always a big my guy was always Cliff Lee.
Oh yeah.
Loved Cliff Lee, loved Cole Hamels. Wasn't a big Kershaw guy. I just never really saw myself as like, being able to throw like 97 at the top of the tank and drop a 73-mile-per-hour hook. Like, I was like, that wasn't really in my game. I felt like a more of a, so I love watching, like a lot of those guys. And then kind of as I've gotten older, stuff has kind of changed, obviously, like maybe a little bit closer to more like a Hader, Josh Hader, something like that. But everyone throws different. Now it's kind of just like, I throw like Ian, I throw like Ian Churchill. Like that's just kind of how it is now. But I do love watching baseball. I love watching, pitchers and stuff like that. And, but it's hard to, I have yet to really find a guy that I'm like, that is just me, like it changes so much. So, but growing up though, I definitely had a lot of guys that I like to watch.
We're growing up in California, you have a Dodgers Angels fan kind of thing?
I did not watch a whole lot of baseball growing up. I will say this, as much as I always did like baseball and stuff, I grew up, truck rides with dad, Vin Scully on the radio. I was listening to Kershaw pitch, you know, something about that voice, and that still kind of resonates with me and stuff like that. So I was definitely, I guess, like my family, my dad was always a big Dodger fan. I liked always just watching pitchers. That was always just kind of my thing. But my dad was definitely a huge Dodger fan, and it was kind of always, what are the Dodgers doing? And whenever me and my dad talk baseball, it always kind of circulates back to Dodgers and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
Ian, I'd be curious to ask you a little bit more about kind of your delivery. You've talked a little bit about how you described as a funky lefty. We've seen the videos. It's a little wild out there. How did that delivery come to be? Is that just kind of how you threw?
Yeah, just like that is just, it is not in my mind, like it's kind of funny, like it's just what my body like does. Like, and to me, it's like, to me, I've always felt like I actually try to, when you talk about like emulating, I try to emulate like stock right-handed like pitchers. Like that's just how I've always kind of been, is like, like I've always, and it's just for some reason or another, stuff goes this way, and then ball goes this way, and it's just how it's always been. Um, probably since like high school, maybe even a little bit before that, but definitely as I've just gotten older and a little stronger and stuff like that, it may have just kind of become a little bit more exaggerated. I also don't think you look at an eighth grader or whatever doing that and being like, oh, that's not, a little out of the ordinary. Like you're probably just like, I was also a pretty skinny, like uncoordinated kid growing up, so it was probably just looked like he was trying. I was just a kid trying his best. So
Know a little something about that for sure. I have
yeah.
a bit of an out there, little wild question for you. Obviously, we're doing a little bit of research, and I noticed in your Instagram bio you've got dancer. in there. Can we get a little bit of insight into that?
So so growing up, I actually just like for some reason I just like was in love with like dancing in front of like the TV screen. Like my mom, like after a movie or whatever, like Pixar credits roll, for some reason I would just get up and just start like dancing. I think I did it mostly for my mom because I knew it just made her like laugh and smile a bunch. And then it kind of became a thing that like as I got older and stuff, go out and you just hang out. You're just, I like to boogie. Just my thing. Like to break it down every once in a while. First CD was a Michael Jackson "This Is It," like thing. Learned to moonwalk on some hardwood floors growing up, and just I don't know. ADHD left-handed kid likes to boogie a little bit. I think that's just kind of all I had behind that. So
You'll have to knock out that that moonwalk at some point as you make it up the levels. We'll have to catch that on national television perhaps one day.
yeah, I will see how that goes. I think I try to keep a little bit of a professional sense, but I think there's definitely there will be a time to break it out. I'll probably feel that one out.
What's your mound song?
I'm a big 80s rock guy. So
Very
when it
nice.
comes to that, I'm kind of all over the place with music. Last year I tried something new. I went S&M by Rihanna. That
Oh,
was a different one.
very nice.
Let's see. I don't know what I'm gonna go this year. I was thinking about doing Hold the Line by Toto. Just
Wow,
thought that was a
very
great one.
very nice, very
Yeah.
nice.
So
I walked up to Disturbia by Rihanna in school, so really
nice.
really do love the S&M pull there.
Yeah. The one that I'm really known for was my senior year of high school. I did Careless Whisper by George Michael.
Nice.
And
Oh.
that one's kind of followed me around for a while from coaches and stuff that knew me in Santa Barbara. My junior college coach thought that was pretty hilarious, and he would bring that up a lot.
Enter
That's
Sandman vibes, but Careless Whisper. I love
Yeah,
it.
but it's Careless Whisper,
Exactly.
but instead it's a sweet saxophone by
uh
Wham. Yeah.
that's awesome. That's hilarious. I guess we'll get you out of here pretty quickly. I just got to ask, taking you back a little bit to the draft and going to Vancouver last year. How much did you kind of know about Canada before being drafted by the Blue Jays, and what have you kind of learned about the country as a whole since playing there and now being a member of the organization?
Yeah, absolutely nothing. I think I knew a little bit about Toronto and stuff. I actually it was so funny. My senior year, if you go on YouTube right now, there's like this 3-part docu-series. I forget who it's made by, but it's all about um, Dave Steed, right?
Of
And
course.
I know a lot of people know it, and I watched that, and I was just like, this guy's the man. Like, so kind of did that, and it followed kind of all through, history, a lot of like Toronto history and stuff like that. And lo and behold, I get drafted by Toronto, so it was kind of nice to like have that background knowledge. But I'd actually never even left the country before I got drafted by the Blue Jays, and gone to Vancouver. So I had to go get a passport and everything. Uh, my girlfriend is actually from Seattle, and
Okay.
she's had made some trips and stuff to Vancouver. So I was able to talk to her and kind of, like, hey, what's it like and stuff. So, but I will say this, the Pacific Northwest, especially in the summer, you're not beating that.
Yeah.
No, it's gorgeous. And got to be able to go and, be able to kind of go and experience all of Vancouver. I mean, that was just awesome. Canada is an awesome place, and I hope I get to spend more time there, hopefully, and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just eye-opening just how kind of special, especially that place is. But it's pretty great, as I'm sure
Well,
you guys know.
we've spent a little bit of time here, but we hope that we'll get to see you a bunch as well in Canada in the future. Best of luck this season, Ian, and we really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's been great.
That was Ian Churchill. Thanks for him for being so gracious with his time. He was the Blue Jays 10th round pick in 2022 and a 2023 MLB.com organizational all-star. You can follow him on Twitter at Ian Churchill7. You can follow me at Worden_Zach. Jori is at J Negin-Shecter. The pod is at BEV_pod. And you can follow us on YouTube, Substack, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.